I can't hear you
and
yet.
welcome to the SwitchGrocery Weekly Show. I'm Neha, and I have Mark from HackMyKeto with me tonight. If this is your first time watching, you know the drill. We do a weekly show, we interview someone, we try some food, we taste something, we cook something. You're going to have to send me a little thumbs up if you can hear us. And today we actually have Mark, who is amazing. So Mark's going to join our Instagram live too. So we're going to have a little bit of a setup. We're just setting up and we're going to be interviewing him. He's a dad. I'll introduce him in a minute. Let me just get you on Instagram, Mark. One sec. Okay, they can hear us. Perfect. Everyone, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Hi. Mark, can you hear me on Instagram or could you see me? And you have to send me a request to join live. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Mark. I've actually known him since 2019. He is a dad of two. The last time we actually did a formal, official low carb catch up was in 2019, where he had been following keto for 14 months. And we had a different kind of catch up then because it was right before the pandemic. And I think that was the height of the keto community on Instagram and everybody was really excited. But now we're talking to him 5 years in. There you go. He's joining Instagram as well. We're talking to him 5 years in, and we're going to be finding out all about how he's doing, his challenges, his wins, his health journey. Hey, Mark.
Hello. Sorry, I got two screens and two cameras. I don't know where to look anymore, but
amazing.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. We usually go like back and forth between both cameras.
yeah, they're
So we are live on our Facebook group, Facebook page, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram.
That's a lot.
And am I forgetting anything? I don't know. 2 Facebook groups, Twitter, LinkedIn. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's bananas. So welcome to the show. Sugar Daddies is here. Everyone's joining on Instagram. This is amazing.
I missed the brunch on Sunday. I went to the Sugar Daddies brunch. It looked amazing.
I know. I saw that. We should go together to Sugar Daddies.
I know. Mike and Laura went. They didn't even invite me. I was not impressed. But...
Hey, we don't bash people on the live right away.
Yeah, fair. I wasn't bashing. I just wanted an input. That's all.
Okay, Lisa just said we missed YouTube. Mark, YouTube. We're obviously on YouTube.
Obviously.
Lisa, that's our default platform. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Greg's in the chat. Shalini's in the chat. Shalini says, hey, yay, Mark and Neha. Greg says, hey, guys. Hey
Greg.
This is so exciting, you guys.
This is okay. I'm like squinting. If I'm squinting, it's because I'm trying to see the Instagram chat, which is like 6 feet in front of me and really small. So
I will usually read it to you. So if you're watching this video back later, let me tell you a little bit about Mark. So this conversation is going to be a really real casual conversation. Mark and I are friends now. I'm just going to say that, whether he agrees or not. We're on WhatsApp. So that's right. Now we're on WhatsApp.
We go swimming together.
We go swimming together. So, but what I really love about Mark is he is just super real. He's now done low carb for 5 years. I actually calculated it, Mark, because we had you on an interview in 2019, June for Father's Day, and you had been following keto for 14 months. So I tracked you back to March 2018, and it's February 2023.
Yep, it'll be 5 years in March. I don't know the exact date, which is a weird thing to say, but it'll be March will be 5 years.
Which means that you have, it's crazy. And it's going to be an amazing chat because you know how at the beginning, everybody, we're all gung-ho about finding low carb or finding a new way of eating. And now we're 5 years in, we're like basically spent 2 years in a pandemic. So this chat is really going to be about where you are today. I described you as a regular guy with responsibilities, family, and friendships.
I saw that.
And I think this is, we're going to touch on a few topics. So fitness, meal prep, kind of your ups and downs. And then we're going to go really real because this was also supposed to be a SwitchGrocery launch live. So I have some of our launches and I want your real hot take on them. So I actually have them all here, but I will show them to you later. And just for being on this live today, Mark, you have won some Kaizen.
All right. I love that stuff. I haven't tried the new shapes yet.
You win whatever I show off on this live.
All right. All right.
So if you get me to show more things, I'll do it.
I know. I should start asking about some stuff. No, kidding.
You're just like, give me your entire spice cupboard of burlap.
I know, right? My house is full of SwitchGrocery products, so like literally they're everywhere.
I know. Oh, Keto Greg is in the chat. Oh my God, I love him. Keto Greg 80.
Oh. Hey.
And Tanya's here. Amanda says 5 years. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so let's start with my first question. My first one is 2019 to today. So when we chatted with you, it was, the 14 months. What has kind of been your biggest changes mentally, emotionally, physically, and also just psychologically in the last 3 years?
That's a lot. I don't know. I think the pandemic screwed up a lot of us. Being, I don't even mean being locked at home and working from home, and that was fine. But for me, it was when the gyms closed and I didn't know what to do for about a week. I sort of stared at the walls. I was like, I swear a lot, but I'm not going to do it. I almost did. Like, what do I do now? And, I switched then from that to running. And, that mindset of like the gym's not always there. The grocery store is not, it was there, but it was a pain to go to. I sort of shaped a looser attitude towards, again, you talked about meal prep a minute ago. I'm a terrible meal prepper, but I was very strict back then about it. And it was getting, here's the grocery list, here's the grocery store, here's the meal prep for the week. That's all I'm eating. And, that shift in 2020 to that wasn't always possible really sort of relaxed me a bit, for better or worse. There's some positives and some negatives, but it sort of relaxed my mindset a little bit around how strict I was with myself and how strict I was with what I was doing. And, I always, for me, consistency is key to most of what I do, and definitely lost some of that consistency. It's coming back. During the pandemic, I ran 5K a day, like 6 days a week. That's eventually what I did with the gyms closed. And that became my consistent thing, and everything else was sort of like, do it as you can. So I'd say that the biggest mental shift has been just a sort of relaxing of, I don't want to say standards is the wrong word, a relaxing of the rigorousness around everything that I was doing then till now. That's a big shift. When we talked in 2014, I was like, everything was pretty regimented. And I think that's also just a natural progression into 5 years, right? You can't stay like that forever. That worked for the first 2 years. It was great. It helped me lose a lot of weight. It got me into some good habits, but it wasn't sustainable for me. So that's the biggest mental shift. Physical shift, when we talked, I was probably close to my lowest weight, which was, a little over 100 pounds down. And I decided, after lots of comments from friends and family, that wasn't where I needed to be. It wasn't healthy for me. It was, again, back to that strictness, that constant need to be lower and lower and lower. Somebody told me, look, I looked like I was a cancer patient at one point, right? Like I was working out, I was getting fit. I was like I was feeling jacked, but I was like gaunt in the face. So, the again, mental and physical shift is I'm now significantly heavier than that. Not where I want to be at the moment either, but not, the goal is now not just to get as low as possible anymore, which was the goal for a long time. And it served me well, but, I'd rather now be healthy than see that number on the scale that just happens to be lower than the one that was there before. So
that's so interesting, especially the whole cancer patient. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there was definitely. Even Kelly at some point was like, "You don't look healthy." Like that's you need to put some weight back on. It was I don't know. I guess finding the right sort of set point for me was not down where that was. that was too low. So
do you think, because you said that you said for 5 years, how life changes. So for me, what's really interesting was I and I'm just going to speak honestly about it. I gained weight during the pandemic. probably not because of just eating, but probably also just I was really stressed, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like scariness and stress, and you're all the coping mechanisms of seeing friends, seeing family, like all of that was gone. So I think that did a number. Now I know with my like wearing a Freestyle Libre that like
Yeah.
basically that throws all my blood sugars through the roof.
Yeah.
But do you think the whole, you know, how you were so real about 2 years into a health journey is different from 5 years in?
Yeah.
Like, do you think keto and low carb is a sustainable thing for the long term?
I think so. I think it waxes and wanes a bit, right? You can't, for me personally, I can't be 100% keto and 100% low carb all the time, but I'm still 5 years in setting sort of 3-month goals of, and, let's go till we're going on vacation, and, we'll be off plan on vacation, and it'll be sort of a mental reset to be able to, not have to think about everything you're putting in your mouth at all points of the day. And then I'll come back and it's back on, sort of short-term goals that way. And I find without that mental break, it's not even about the physicality of low carb and the food. Like, I like all the food. I have no problem eating the food, right? We just did carnivore for January. Like, the food's delicious. I can do that. I can do anything short-term for said to somebody once. I could stand on my head for a month if I had to. If my life depended on it, I could do it. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I could do it. But
Right.
You need those sort of mental breaks, right? Like, I'm tracking my macros really closely right now because of this cut that I'm trying to do for just, sort of cycling into weightlifting and those sorts of things. And like, that is not sustainable for me long time. Just the amount of mental effort that goes into tracking everything and planning everything to that sort of degree, it needs to stop at some point. And that's why the cut has a, specified amount of time. I'll take some time off and then we'll go into sort of the next phase. But yeah, I think it's sustainable as long as you find a way to do it for yourself. That's how it works for me.
I also love it comes with the territory of being bald. Wait. Yeah. I get the same comments. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. The beard helps because then you can't see my cheeks are like drawn in.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you all about this cut you're doing. And realistically speaking, I really want to talk to you about this. So people may not know this, but you were kind of instrumental in really helping me becoming a parent. Because I don't know. It's always okay. Before you become a parent, I'm just being real. Okay. There's all these like roses and like the pregnancy photos and whatever. And then you have a baby and it's like a slap across the face. And then you have like the immediate, oh no, shoot, like I got to keep this thing alive. And then after that, after a few years, you're like, oh no, this thing is with me for the long term.
Forever.
Like this isn't a sprint. It's a marathon, you know? So, and like, I'd like to kind of ask you really, like, is it hard to follow literally any health journey as a parent?
Absolutely.
Like, are there challenges that come with that?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is I'm literally staring. My kitchen's right in front of me here for people that don't know, but there's literally a kitchen full of food that I can't eat or choose not to eat because I got to feed the kids and they certainly don't like the same things I do. Just tonight I made pasta for the kids with like a meat sauce that's their favorite thing, but I ate the sauce because the sauce is good, but like there's a house full of stuff here that I can't eat. And that's, that's a challenge just in of itself. And then finding time to work out is always a challenge, right? The kids are here with me, that's 2 days I know in the cycle that I cannot get to the gym because between drop off and work and pick up and making dinner, there's no time to leave the house. There's no time I can occasionally sneak in a run at lunch, maybe if I'm lucky, if the weather's nice, but I have to build my entire schedule around those times that they're here. So that's absolutely a challenge as well.
But you know what? At least we're acknowledging it. So I appreciate that because sometimes, and you're just like, it's fine. But no, it's, it's the time constraint. It's really the time constraint. I love
100%. Yeah. It's,
yes. Like I love my son, especially if he's watching this in 10 years. I love you so much.
Yeah.
It's just the time constraint.
They take up a lot of time and undivided attention, right? You can't, especially when they're little, like at Mason's age, like you can't just put them down and walk away and go do something.
Mm.
whether it be meal prep or a workout or, something like that. You just can't do it.
Yeah, my trainer had my first trainer who actually introduced me to low carb. This would have been like 2016. So Mark, he had 3 daughters, and
Yep.
his best tip to me was he had a whole thing where he was like, I just eat really well on weekdays and I
Yep.
just don't on weekends. That's just
Yeah, I know lots of people who do that. Yeah, absolutely. I've tried that. I know we've talked about it before. That's how my first 8 months of keto was. Once a month I would have a weekend off. Like that was how I did it. It didn't work for me. That turns into a spiral of eating terrible things that
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me. But to do 5 days on, 2 days off, I would hurt myself in those 2 days, so I couldn't do it. But yeah, if it works, absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure if I ordered any for myself, but Lydia from Keto Cookies in the chat. And I ordered 1 cookie for myself, and Brian ate it. Why, Brian?
Boom. Right here.
What? Yes. What?
Let me flip that over.
That's so nice.
Something to me for Valentine's Day today. I was just actually munching on this one. It's half eaten.
Oh my gosh. Lydia, we have to launch more cookies. Somebody actually asked if we could ship the tiramisu to Vancouver, and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm so sorry. But I don't think it would make it. I have another question from Karen. What does work better for you, high fat or high protein?
I just saw that too. Sorry, I took a bite of cookie.
Yeah.
I want to say both, which is sort of a cop-out answer, but they both have their time and place. When I started and I was trying to, like I said, actively lose weight as fast as much as possible, high fat all day long. I was eating 75 to 80% fat a day, which is difficult. Like, you have to actually try to do that. It's not just eating a regular meal. You're putting butter on things and mayonnaise on things and eating sort of coconut. I legit remember, and my ex-wife used to laugh at me, that sometimes at night when I knew I didn't hit my fat macros, I would take a tablespoon of coconut oil and put it in like a little bit of hot water and just chug it just to get my fat up. And it worked, right? Like, that worked for me for the first 2 years almost. Now that I'm spending more time in the gym than I am doing anything else, I'm switched more to a high protein. So I'm eating a slightly higher ratio of protein to fat, which works for me from a gym perspective.
That's
and
really
because I'm still counting calories pretty closely, I'm still sort of trending in a hopefully downward manner most of the time. But I find for muscle growth, I want more protein.
Well, you know what? That's really helpful, because we're actually I'm trying to increase my protein. I didn't realize how low I was on protein.
It's hard, right? Like, Kelly jokes all the time, and we joke here, like, if you like the bodybuilders, there's a reason they eat chicken breasts and rice all day. Like,
right.
It's an easy way to those chicken. I hate white chicken meat, so it's terrible. I'm never going to do that. But like, there's a reason they crank back those dry chicken breasts all day, because it is a serious amount of protein. It's hard to get it. Protein shakes, it's just not enough.
It's really not enough. And even a serving of keto chow, if you think about it, it's got 26 grams of protein, right?
Yep.
So if you did 3 of those a day without adding extra protein, it's not enough.
Still
like, even for women, like, that's not enough. And I'm now realizing that I need a lot more protein. I'm starting to actually add protein to keto chow.
Yeah, I have protein powder here. Like I said, it's about 27, 28 grams per scoop, and I'm taking 2 scoops a day, and I'm still struggling to hit my protein some days.
Yeah. What is your protein goal? I'm really interested to know.
It's about 1 gram per kilogram?
Okay.
Something like that. It's on the phone. That's up in the mount. Otherwise, I would tell you my exact number. But it's like 180 grams, I think, or 190 grams of protein a day.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like to pause to wish you a very happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thanks. You too.
I love that we're not spending Valentine's Day with our partners, and we're here talking about. I
do want to say, you know what I have here? I didn't even show you this yet. I want to say this was from school today. This was a SwitchGrocery box that was repurposed into a Valentine's box.
Oh my
God! This is my last Switch order. It came in this little box that she built with a handle to open, and it has, sorry you can't see it, all sorts of fun Valentine's decorations.
Are you gonna keep that forever, or can I have it?
I mean, you could probably have his full. I can't believe how big of a deal Valentine's Day is in middle school now. Like, it's literally
I
full
know.
of like cards and candy and toys, and like somebody gave her like this airplane. And, like, what is this? Hold on, like this. Like, there's got to be 20 kids in her class, and somebody gave her
Oh
this,
my gosh.
this little kissing bear that says "I love you." Like, how?
That's so cute.
I sent a card, like, and a pencil. Like, it's
That's
yeah,
so cute.
it's a big thing. But yeah, the kids had fun today.
Well, happy Valentine's Day,
Yeah,
Maria.
you too.
Maria's here. I love you, Maria.
Okay,
Oh my
Maria.
gosh, I want to see you one day. I just keep
Yes.
talking. I'm like, I need to
Let's
see
go to
Maria.
Victoria. Yeah.
We need to go to Victoria. We need to just
I
get
know
on a
Maria
plane.
sent us to some good places when we were out there last year.
Oh, have you met her yet?
No.
Okay,
Gotta go.
it'll be on West Coast goal.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's pause and go to fitness because I'm really interested to know about your cut. So you're doing a cut.
Yeah.
Why are you? And also, like, you also did carnivore in January.
I did
And
as
that-
part of the
and
cut,
it-
which made the cut easy. Actually, that was the best part of the cut so far.
Okay, what's a cut in layman's terms?
Okay, so essentially, there's two cycles when you're trying to build muscle, as like trying to actively build muscle. A bulk and a cut. So a bulk is where you're eating more calories usually and working out, lifting really heavy weight and trying to build as much muscle as possible. But because you're eating more calories, you're also putting on more fat. You're putting on just size. So the flip side of that is a cut where you lift. You sort of switch a little bit more cardio. You drop your calories down. You change your macros up a bit, significantly less. You know, if you weren't keto, you would be eating less carbs than more carbs, which was energy. My fat came down, my protein went up, and I'm trying now to sort of lose the layer that is being on top of the muscle that I hopefully put on during the bulk.
Okay.
So that's in layman's terms a cut. So essentially, for me, I'm reducing my calories by about 50 per week for 3 months, and then for two months and a bit, and then maintaining at 400 calories below sort of maintenance for a month, which is great. Now I'm about in the middle of the sort of deceleration. March is gonna suck because that's gonna be fairly low calories for about 3.5 weeks is the way I have it planned. I'm not gonna be a happy person for those probably. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. We'll see. It's lower than I normally eat by quite a bit.
Is the goal to build muscle essentially?
The goal now is to lose the fat on the muscle I hopefully built between September and December when I was doing a bulk.
Okay, got it. So bulk first, build the muscle, lose the fat.
Cut, and then you go back to bulk. It's sort of a vicious cycle, but yeah.
Oh wow, this is. I'm actually going to look into this a little more. I've heard about cuts, but I was very interested.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about? Can you talk to me a little bit about fitness? Because and especially in the context of doing this cut. So I've kind of seen you go all stages: running, not go to the gym at all, run back to the gym because that's your like sacred space,
it's fun.
and then leave again and then be like, okay, I need to find my way back. Can you talk us through kind of where you are on your fitness journey now and how it goes up and down?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started working out, I was literally sitting on my ottoman with some hand weights that I had in my living room. That was 4 years ago. And then started going to the gym, which, I liked. It was like midnight every night after the kids went to bed and I had some dinner. I would go to the gym at 11 o'clock at night and stay there till 12:30 or 1. That went on for over a year. And then I realized that, the lack of sleep, even though I'm not a sleeper, was terrible. And I switched to 5 a.m. workouts, which was going great, but that was in January of 2020. So, no, not even February of 2020. And I think that lasted about 8 weeks and then the gyms closed. And then, like I said, I struggled with no gym to go to after, 18 months or almost 2 years of working out 5 or 6 days a week. And then I started running. I had run in the past when I was still heavy and I hated it, but I needed to do something. So I started running, which was great. Running is the worst thing you can possibly do. It's terrible, but it's also amazing when you're done. So it's anybody who says they like running. Anybody who says they like running is lying to you. But it is almost euphoric when you get out there and you're in the zone and you're just moving forward, especially on a long run. Your brain shuts off. It's very cathartic. You got music going. You can hear your feet. You can hear the music, and you try not to get hit by a car. In my case, because I run downtown. And other than that, you're thinking about nothing else, which especially during the lockdown was a great, every day for 30 to 40 minutes, get outside, get some fresh air. And then I know you like through the winter. Yeah, it's terrible. It was -20, but I was like, I gotta go do it. And then the gym's open. So I finished that sort of cycle by running a half marathon, which was December 26th, 2021. And then stopped running after that. It was almost like a hard stop. I needed a week of recovery because half marathon is a long run. And then the gyms reopened, I believe, the first time. So I went back to the gym and I was like, this is great. I can run on a treadmill. I can still run outside. I can still lift. And I did that. And then the gyms closed again. So I went back to running. And then the gyms opened again. And I was like, great, we'll find a balance. A couple days in the gym, a couple days running outside. And that just didn't happen. I went to the gym 6 days a week. I didn't run. I'm just trying to start running again now. Like, so for the cut, your cardio has to go up because you want to burn more calories and you want to, get your cardiovascular fitness back up. And I realized how terrible my running has gotten. I was running a really 26-minute 5K, and I just did my first one 2 weeks ago in a long time, and it was 40 minutes and 14 seconds. And I was like, wow. And as a treadmill, and I hate treadmills, but it won't be any better outside. So it's time to get that cardiovascular health back. So, and just to get more, more cardio in. So I am trying to run again. So I've slipped some cardio days into my routine now. So now it's lifting 3 days a week, running 2 days a week. So far, so good. I hate the treadmill.
That's amazing.
But I actually, today's weather, I was really upset that I couldn't run outside today with today's weather. I was just too busy. So I'm going to try and sneak out tomorrow for a run.
We have, I love this quote. Greg says, I tried to get back into running. I just couldn't do it.
Once you know how much it sucks, like the first time you get into it, it's great because you think, this is good. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And then it doesn't ever get better. I honestly, because I love it. I joke about it. I love being out there. Like I said, it's cathartic. It's great exercise, but it's like getting out there is terrible some days. It's just like, it's wet sometimes, it's cold. Even when it's not that cold, you get really cold running sometimes. It's
Maria totally agrees with you because when you said running sucks, she just said, yep. Greg also is asking, do you and Kelly typically do the same or similar meals?
Usually pretty similar. Almost always. I'll sometimes, it depends. Again, she sort of cycles in and out of keto, and she's done a few other things over the last couple of years. When we're on two sort of different tracks, it gets difficult. We end up cooking. There's not a lot of crossover meals, but generally we eat the same thing. Almost always. Different portion sizes for sure, but generally the same thing.
Yeah, I think that is really helpful. Brian and I eat the same way. Actually, the blood sugar meter was not good for him because once he put it on, the difference between a white guy and a brown woman, his blood sugar is just naturally lower than mine, Mark. So
I'm sure
it actually made he started to just be like, oh, let me see pizza and see how high it could go, or let me try all these things.
I really want a CGM as well, but I know I'll do the same thing. It'll just be an excuse to go eat ridiculous things to see what happens. And so I've held off. I actually had one here and I just never put it on because I was like, I can already feel like I'm going to want to eat, oh, look, there's some kids' candy there. I'll bet you I'll be fine with that. Let's try that,
Oh my gosh, I'll buy your CGM off you if you don't use it.
It was an old one that goes to the phone.
Oh yeah, one of those. They
expired. Yeah, they expired. Somebody actually gave it to me. I think it expired before I could put it on.
So we do have a couple questions on how you eat, which I think it's interesting because it would be different from when you started, when you lost weight. You know what I mean? Like at the beginning. So Karen asked, sorry if I missed, how much weight have you lost since early days? If you can kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So it was a little over 100 in the first sort of 2-year cycle. It went back up. Like I said, I purposely brought it back up a little bit. Over the last year, it's come up probably 20 pounds higher than I'd like that to be. So I was just doing the math yesterday. I think as part of the cut and sort of where I want to be from a continuous point, there's about 25 pounds I want to take back off. So that will put me right in around 180, which is, I think, my sort of healthy place, 180, 185. So
can I just say how amazing it is? And this isn't about, so here's the thing, right? Like there's a lot about like weight loss. There's a lot about weight loss isn't good and like fat and like all these things, and everyone has different goals. So I just want to caution like what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I just really appreciate that. I think it's a huge win that you put your health first and did that. Like that's crazy to me. you know.
Okay, sorry, I just broke my Instagram phone. Sorry, the live. Hold on.
Okay.
But this, thank you. Sorry, I was listening to that, but I also
No,
just
it's all good. So
and
congratulations.
thank you.
Um,
Like I said, it went from wanting to see the lowest number possible to wanting to be healthy. Like you said, just
right.
that lowest number chasing is I think a trap we all fall into.
Oh, for sure. And Greg says, dude, 2.5 pounds of that is just the pandemic beard.
So you're right. Greg, you would have seen my beard during the pandemic. Like it was out to here. And it's actually I trimmed it the other day and I came home and my daughter was like, what happened to your face? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, no, grow it. And we saw a picture from the pandemic when it was like wild. And she was like, do that again. And I was like, no, I gotta go to work now. Like I have to be in an office sometimes. I will make it longer, but I'm going to keep it clean. So we are growing it out again, Greg.
Tanya asked through Instagram, she said, what is your total carb per day macro goal? So maybe we can go back to what it was when you started and what it is through this what it was through the bulk and cut.
Yeah, no, I will say I haven't changed my carbs much at all. I was 20 net when I started. I am mostly 20 net where we are now. That for me has always worked. During the bulk, it was a little bit. I would allow myself to go over, but my goal was still 20. I don't think I ever, without being an off-plan day or over the holidays or something, I don't think I ever went over probably 30 net, maybe 40 at the worst. I have switched and tried to do total carbs for a while, 30 net or 30 total. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. There's too many good things, quick snacks. Especially when you're busy, that they are full of fibrous things to bring the net carbs down, but they're convenient. Right. And again, it gets back to how strict you want to be all the time. And for me, I like to be able to reach into the cupboard and grab a bar of some sort, or whatever it is, a snack, on the way out the door, if that's what I got to do. It's much harder to do total carbs where you're really only eating whole foods at that point. During carnivore, I was doing 10 full carbs, or less, but that was a little bit easier.
Let me know, Tanya, if you have any more questions for Mark on carb macros, just while we have him here, because I love picking his brain. Karen says she lost 60 pounds in the first year, but she hasn't lost any more, been doing keto 3 years. Have you heard that a lot from friends?
I had a 9.5 month stall after the first 2 years, after I sort of lost that first 100, after I was about 85 before I got 100. It stalled for almost a year, which is super frustrating when you're still trying to lose all the time. For me, it ended up being a recalculation of my macros. I was, keto's awesome, but like at the end of the day, if you're eating too many calories of keto stuff, you're still not going to lose weight for me. So I recalculated my macros. I trimmed them lower than I thought they would be and just sort of tried to hold that for as long as possible, and eventually sort of started moving that needle again.
Yeah. It's interesting. So for me, and I've never really talked numbers because as a grocery store owner, it's hard, right? You don't want to trigger anyone. So caveat, anybody, if you're listening, you're not comfortable, but I'm happy to share. I probably started keto when I was about 180 pounds. And then I went down about 25. No, actually it was probably 185 and I went down to about 160, 158. And that's when I got pregnant. So I got pregnant then, and then I went obviously up, right? Obviously growing a baby. And then after that, what's really interesting is in the pandemic, I gained weight. So I've kind of I'm kind of sitting between 190 and 200 at the moment. So I stopped it. So at some point I got to 210, 220, or 215 was where I was getting to. And I was like, okay, because I didn't step on the scale. So I think at first I was like, I've had a baby. I don't care. There's the pandemic. I just need to get through this. Nothing wrong with that. And then after that, I was just like, okay, I'm at 215. And now I've come down to this 190, 200 range. And Mark, I'm going to share this. It's really hard, right? Like, me pretty much.
It's frustrating and discouraging. It's hard when you're stuck.
Oh, 1,000%. And like, Mark has seen me eat. Mark, you know how I eat. Like, I'm generally eating fairly low carb, like 85% of the time, right? Like, and if I'm doing, because sometimes I'm just so tired of meat, I'll still stick with like lentils or something but that's generally low carb. I'll pair it with like more meat, whatever. So for me, I don't know if this helps anybody. It definitely is stress and sleep. So I find on wearing a Freestyle Liber, even if Mason wakes me up once, my blood sugar just spikes because it thinks my body is awake. It's time to wake up. So if that's happening 3 times in the night, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., or if Karen, you're very stressed, okay, you're just like stress level is super high. That's kind of now where I'm at because it's pretty crazy. Like wearing a Liber really makes you notice that you can eat. And people have told me this, like people have told me this from Fasting Method and everywhere, but you can eat really well. You can, and maybe Mark, you're different from me. If you eat well, you lose weight. For me, if I eat well, drink water, all the things, I still don't lose weight. I have to really sleep and get my stress down to see some numbers go down.
I find for me, I'm not a high stress guy, and not to say that I don't get stressed out about stuff, but I tend to be fairly chillaxed most of the time. But when I do get stressed, I just don't eat. And like it's like when I'm sick. When I'm sick, I don't eat for like days or weeks, right? So the difference for me is when I'm stressed, my blood sugar may go up, but there's no food in me. Like I just stop. That's one of the things I just sort of stop. I will say though, for me, like whenever I do have a stall, the only thing that works for me is to get back to tracking like as closely as I can, which everybody hates tracking. But I use Carb Manager. I used to use MyFitnessPal. They're both good. And I start tracking and I realize that I'm either putting stuff in my mouth that I'm not thinking about, right? Like I'm either taking a bite of something or a piece of cheese off the counter or something off the kid's plate or something like that. Or I do the opposite, which is sort of counterintuitive. I will put my calories up because I find if I am in a caloric deficit for too long, you stall. Your body gets used to it, right? And I sort of, again, is it an excuse to go out and have a bunch of things that I like to eat? Probably, but I'll just take a weekend off. I'll say like this. And again, it's planned. I'm not saying like I'm just going to wake up on a Friday night and be like, or Friday morning and be like, this weekend is it. I'm going to eat all the carbs this weekend and just go nuts. But I'll say like I'm going to track my food for the next 2-3 weeks, and if there's still no change, and I can honestly say I'm tracking closely, and I am under my maintenance calories, and I'm eating under 20 carbs, and I'm still in a sort of stuck state, then I'll do the opposite. I will plan to go off plan and eat all the shit. Like I said, I don't do off plan well because I spiral into like sort of old habits of like, I need to eat this, and this, because I'm not going to eat it again for 3 months. And I need to, go to McDonald's 3 times in one day because I wanted 3 different things. Like it doesn't work well for me, which is why keto in the opposite side does work well for me because I can't do those things because I know it's outside of my lane. But it helps. It's sort of, I always said it like shocked my body back into like, what in the hell are you doing? This does not work. I feel gross. I feel terrible. So like, the next Monday morning when I wake up, I am ready to get back to basics.
Right.
And a lot of people also like see a lot of people online, especially like in the female influencer space, eating like their 1,200 calories a day and calling it a diet. Like that is not enough food for a newborn. Like that, if your calories are too low, you're going to have the opposite effect, right? Your body's just going to start holding on to things. So it's really about finding that good balance. And for me, those are the things that work. And I have found over the course of 5 years, my caloric requirements have changed drastically through different phases, right? I was eating, and I don't like giving numbers, but that first year I was aiming for like 2,600 calories a day. Into the second year when I was sort of getting closer and trying to balance things, it was, I rebalanced down to somewhere like 2,100. My maintenance now at where I'm at somewhere around 18, and I'm cutting down to like 1,600 for that month of March, which is going to be that terrible month of March, which I know is below, and it's planned below it. I would never go much lower than that because I don't think I can function on anything less than that. But my intent, sort of the day the cut ends, is to go back to 17 and 18 and 19, then back to 2 and reverse diet back up.
Right.
So eating significantly under calories for a long time is just as bad as over, I find, for me.
That's what Robert from Keto Break said. He actually really, really surprised me because I was talking to him about my specific issue, and he literally said, you're under eating because you're trying to do extended fasting and you're trying to do 100%. Intermittent fasting. You're just not eating enough, and your body's like basically trying to hold on. And I was like, thanks. So counterintuitive, but okay.
And I mean, you got to be careful not to use that as an excuse to just be like, woo, I'm going to go order a pizza and eat it. But it's right. If you're under eating, you're damaging yourself just as much, I think. Like it's difficult.
to be honest, I really do have the opposite issue because I'm really trying to eat more, and I find I struggle right now because I'm not hungry at breakfast. I'm barely hungry at lunch, so I'm really eating everything at dinner, and it's not a good cycle. So that's kind of my goal, to start to eat more.
Yeah,
Maria says
I
tracking works. It hate it, but it works.
it's the
Shalini
worst.
says
I hate it too, but it
tracking
works.
always works for me, which is
Yeah.
interesting because I know Shalini's also about 14 months postpartum. So Shalini, if you can drop in the chat if you do find it hard to track. And then Tanya says, thanks, I'm at 20 total carbs and she's attempting to go carnivore, so gradually reducing. And we have a question from Greg,
Carney stuff.
Mark,
Yeah, Greg
about
asked a question about Carney too. Yeah.
carnivore. So this is great because actually this is one of my other questions, which is about carnivore. So carnivore.
Carnivore.
You have been doing
Carnivore.
carnivore Januaries for a while. How do you
3
find
years
it?
now. I love it.
Would
I
you
love
do
it.
it long term?
I
We're really
find
curious.
it feels good. I think that's the like the bloat goes, the energy goes up. It is. This is a conversation we had here the other day when we finished carnivore because Kelly was doing it with me. It's really easy to track when you're doing carnivore because you're eating like 4 things. You know, a couple of different meats, eggs, and cheese, and that's really easy to track. It's easy to weigh because they're all sort of whole foody. And pork rinds. I have pork rinds on my table here. Like you're eating pork rinds and you're eating cheese and you're eating meat and some eggs, and that's really easy to track. And you feel good doing it. I generally struggle with doing OMAD 1 meal a day and I don't fast much anymore, but I generally struggle with OMAD because I either way undereat or way overeat because I'm starving. But with carnivore, I'm not hungry at all during the day. And when I get to dinner, I know what I'm going to be eating, and it's going to be a hunk of meat and some cheese and some eggs. And you can't overeat that because you just get so full. So you end up it makes for me a little bit easier. The only reason that I love when carnivore January ends is it is boring as F. You are eating this, like I said, the positives are the same as the negatives. You're eating the same 4 things. There's only so many different ways. And PSMF bread, like with the Muskoka Mornings egg white powder, is great. That was like a game changer last year because it was all of a sudden we could do a million things. Chaffles are great because they give you some texture. There's no texture in carnivore. Everything is soft. And I'm not generally a texture eater, but after like 3 weeks of soft foods, you just want something to crunch. Again, that's why we ate so many pork rinds, because it was just something with some texture, and we'd crush them and put them in I'd eat them literally with every meal. I'd have a few just to crunch on something.
Can you give us examples of what you ate on carnivore, like specifically?
Yeah. 100%. We, like I said, chaffles were a big one, so we can make a sandwich with, a chaffle and some eggs and some bacon or something inside of it, like a breakfast sandwich. Quite a few steaks. I have the smoker out back now, so we smoked some things. For me personally, when I do carnivore, I do all of the spices. I cannot, like beef and salts. I've done that. I did it for 2.5 weeks as an experiment once. That's how I ended up with HackMyKeto, because I wanted to experiment on things like beef, salt, and butter. Like I couldn't do it. So I do spices. I do like generally, sauces that are sugar free, in moderation. But I'm not going to slather my steak with barbecue sauce, but I may take a little on the side and dip it. I'm going to use something like blue cheese dip for my wings. I'm gonna allow some of those things, and there's some carbs in them, and I get it. They're not, the hardcore carnivores will tell us that's not carnivore.
Right.
But for me, that's what works. And again, as long as I'm minimizing it, it was honestly under. I would even say it was under 5 total carbs a day. There was really very little of that.
Wow.
But, pork rind nachos, that was a big one. We had that a few times because it's quick and easy. Some ground beef, some pork rinds, some cheese, and some sour cream to dip it in. We couldn't use salsa, but some sour cream to dip it in was, I like sour cream. It was good. What else?
And can you eat yogurt? Can you eat yogurt?
It's really hard to find a sugar-free yogurt. That's the problem. So we didn't, or a low-sugar yogurt. Even the Too Goods, they still have a bunch of stuff in them to make them, and there's usually fruit flavored.
But would typical carnivore allow for that, like yogurt?
I think if you made it yourself, I don't see why not. If you just fermented some yogurt, like in the Instant Pot, which I've done before too, it makes delicious yogurt. I never thought of that. We should have done that actually. The problem is that you're getting sort of plain, unsweetened. I did do some sweetener as well. Once a day in my coffee, I did some sweetener. I cut out like the syrupy sweeteners, but I did use some allulose.
Let me show you what I would do.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have Liberté.
Yep.
It's so this is the Liberté yogurt, and then it's Ingredients are skim milk, cream, milk protein, bacterial culture. Oh, interesting. 6 grams of carbs, 6 grams of sugar, but that's just naturally occurring, I
It's the
guess.
natural, the
And then
lactobacillus.
15 grams of protein per 3/4 of a cup. And this is, 5%.
Yep.
I wonder if I could eat
Yeah,
that.
you could.
That
Yeah, you
could
could.
help.
You could probably. Yeah, you could probably do some of that. Absolutely. I didn't even think of that actually. I mean, if I'm eating sour cream, I could just as easily eat yogurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could do some of that.
So interesting, but like super
Lots of
bored by the
eggs.
end of Jan.
Lots of eggs. Lots of eggs. Pepperoni sticks. Like, I don't know. You can go back in my feed. I posted a bunch of stuff too, but it's the same brown plate of food over and over again. And like I said, you feel good. It's easy to track. It's easy to manage. It's easy to grocery shop. But by week 3, you're like, oh my god, I want a vegetable. Like that was.
Are you
just want a vegetable?
Yeah, and that's what Karen's saying. She's like, I miss my veggies and salads. So would you say the benefit, why do you do carnivore? Is it to reset your body? Is it to lose some weight? What's your goal when it comes to that?
For me, it really, I think it's probably more a mental thing just to get through it for the month. I don't find, again, because I was cutting, I was still tracking all my calories, so I was still eating in a deficit and my macros for the day. So for me, it was, obviously helped me lose some weight. You definitely lose some of the bloat. You feel good. I think, coming into January, especially after the holidays, which at least for me, we're planned off plan. It's a good way to reset. Not so much physically. I don't think it like detoxes you or any of those things, but like mentally, just to get myself back into the year of, we're ready to go. We're not, we're not eating junk food anymore, and we're not running around eating crazy things. So,
Sonia's asking, how's your digestion? Or how's your digestion?
Yeah, I will say everybody has a different experience on that. One of the first times we ever did carnivore was a group that actually Kelly put together a long time ago. This is like 4 years ago. And it took 2 days before the conversation got to poop. I mean, 2 days probably. And it probably didn't, it went for 30 days of talking about poop. And everybody had a very different experience. For me, I'm okay. I do find, from a digestion perspective, this is probably TMI, but you can go like 2 or 3 days without going to the bathroom. And I've read about it, and they say basically there's just less material that you're eating that your body's not using. Your body breaks down into the proteins and the amino acids and stuff a little bit further than with vegetables and with other foods. So you're just not producing as much waste, and that's where as much TMI as I'm going to get to. But generally, I'm good with it. Other people certainly have the other experience. And it happens, those first weeks, and everybody who's done keto can talk about the first few weeks where your fat goes up to, 80% of your diet, and your body does not like that. And the same thing can happen on carnivore. You're definitely getting a lot of
fat. I just had to laugh when you said TMI. Okay, we have about 8 more minutes. Yay.
Yeah, we're gonna get kicked off.
Wow. Yes, we'll get kicked off. We don't get kicked off Restream, but we get kicked off Instagram, and then it doesn't save. So if you go over an hour, you can't post it to Reels, and I have learned it the hard way. Greg says, lol, I always knew you were full of shit.
Yeah, Greg's not wrong. I'm going to come to Ottawa one day. We're going to hang out, Greg.
Yeah, I need to go and
do the SwitchGrocery tour of Canada. That's
right. There was another thing I was going to ask you. Oh, about poop. If you're doing extended fasting, anybody, just look it up. Poop and extended fasting, because it's a problem. Just letting you know. If you go to work.
Extended fasting so long. My longest was 92 hours, and that was a long one, but I haven't done it.
I know. It would be interesting to do one, but as you said, like it's hard. It's just I think I would. It depends on where you are. Like sometimes it's helpful, and other times carnivore is helpful, right? Okay, I have 3 more questions. I want to make sure I hit this. So, I want to really actually talk about this. I'm going to show you some Switch products. Okay.
Oh yeah, we didn't do this. We're going to run out of time. Let's see the Switch products.
No, we're gonna do it. So one of the things that I really want to talk about is budget. People are on a budget right now, right? Like even just the price of Keto Chow, we're getting hammered on our ads for Keto Chow because the price used to be like $5.99, and it's now $7.99 to $8.99 for the single flavors. And then I think Kaizen is $14.99, which is we're following the prices at other stores as well. So, and then keto brick, we also are getting killed because people are like, it's a brick for 16 bucks, 17 bucks. Like what? So I kind of want to talk to you about this because the whole pricing thing, and just not even as a company, but like as a person, because I don't know anyone who's not trying to save money right now. Like I just,
Me neither. Yeah, me neither.
I mean, it's insane. Like it's not like salaries went up 30%, right?
No,
So
agreed.
Can you talk to me about how do you do keto on a budget?
I mean, there's the, I'll call it the easy way, which is, or the unpleasant way, which is you buy like 5-10 pounds of ground beef and a flat of eggs at Costco, and you eat that for 3 or 4 days at a time, which is terrible, right? Like nobody wants to do that. So
Robert Keto Savage says that.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it. I mean, I've done it just to do it, but also just from a budget perspective. Fasting is, again, like if you're fasting, you're saving money because you're only eating one meal a day. But it's really about getting high density sort of proteins and fats that you want to eat for the lowest price. But for me, it's more about balancing the priorities of I will go to the store and buy a book for $22 if I want to read a book.
Right.
I am likely better off. That's probably a bad example, but I am likely better off buying 2 boxes of Kaizen and eating that for a week for the same price, right? And finding something else to read. It's about. I mean, and I read a lot, that. So that's sort of a bad example for me. But it's about just prioritizing. And if you look at it, like we went out to dinner. We sort of did Valentine's dinner on the weekend, and it's a $200 meal to go out to dinner, like. It's just what it was. We didn't even go really anywhere fancy. And it was $200 to go out to eat. And you put that into the perspective of that's a week's worth of food on a budget. Do we need to go out next weekend? Right. We're just, we're not going to do it again for another month. And it becomes special occasion things. And same with like, the keto brick for $16. If I'm eating, you really got to get down into the math and say, like, if I'm eating 2,000 calories for the day, and $16 is going to get me 1,000 of them. That's half of my food for the day. How much am I spending on food for the day? Right. For me in March, I could do a keto brick and a keto chow, and that's my entire calorie load for the day. And that's significantly going to be cheaper than going out and buying food. So it's and more convenient. I mean, actually, I was going to do a week of keto brick and keto chow only just to see what would happen. I just never managed to do it. Maybe I'll do it in March and see how that goes. But it's prioritizing and really looking at the cost of it versus what you would spend otherwise. It's difficult though. Justifying a $14 box of pasta is difficult.
Oh, for sure.
It's delicious.
Thank
though.
you for
I love that pasta.
Thank you for that. Oh, this is what you're winning for this live. Okay, so this is the ziti. I didn't even know people were so particular about their pasta shapes.
Oh, they
and
are.
Then this is the radiatori.
I'm so excited for that one.
Isn't that so cute? I love Arash.
He's awesome.
He's trying so hard. I'm also going to send you these wraps. I like these.
Which one are those? The new ones? Or?
Yeah, they're like undercover. It's piccola cucina. They are 2 grams of net carbs.
Nice.
Pretty massive.
And they're almond flour, right? Almond flour.
Yeah, so they're almond flour and
pie crusts are great.
Yeah, and I know they're piccola cucina has good pie crust, but what I really like about these is they are really filling. Do you know what I mean? Like you have one and it's like a super filling lunch. Actually, it's so cute. There's like a little card. So ingredients: almond flour, watered ground almonds, ground golden flax, coconut flour, psyllium husk, coconut oil, pea protein, ACV, xanthan gum, salt. I like them. And then the keto brick milk and cookies.
Nice. I'm excited. I didn't get one of those. I still haven't tried. I got this with the mint chocolate, which is like my favorite flavor combo in the world. Arrived during Carnivore and literally sat in this box. I still haven't tried it. So I literally unpacked the box so Izzy could take this stuff to school with her and make this Valentine's box. But I haven't tried them yet. I was gonna melt them down this week, and this week has gotten away from me. But I'm melting down into my bricks, and I will. I'm gonna try them. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that because I used to always have the bricks like this. Like I would just bite them, but they're so much better. Melted down.
Aaron's always like chunk. It's the perfect sound for biting a keto brick. It really is. He nailed that one.
I don't even like mint chocolate, and I love mint chocolate, but We just had someone email us. I felt so bad for her. She was just like, I hate keto bread. She was just like, I hate it. It's chalky. This is not what I was expecting. And I'm like, oh, I had to like talk her down from like a wall. Like, listen.
Did she try melting it down, or did she just chunk it? Like,
no, she literally was like, I hate this. This is not what I expected. So I think like we need to update our product page to like make sure people know what they're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I can see that. It is an acquired texture, I guess. The taste is
right.
The flavors are good, but it's sort of that like dryness in your mouth. Like, I don't think chalky is the right word once you chew it a bit, but it's definitely a weird texture.
Yeah. I just love that generous Bitcoin billionaire joined the chat and said, oh my God, that was me. And I get to block him. This is so amazing. Block user. Oh, the best. Okay. I have one more question for you, which is actually two more. We could do speed read. Okay. Example of, so three speed questions. I'm going to give you we'll do like 20 seconds. One example of a time constraint meal, motivation now versus 3 years ago. What do you say to yourself when you're trying to get yourself out of a funk? So these are the 3 questions. 1, okay, give me an example of time constrained meals.
My go-to, like when I don't have time, like when I'm working and I have like between meetings and I literally need to run to the kitchen from my bedroom where my office is and make something, is always eggs. Eggs are awesome.
Wow.
I love eggs. You throw in some cheese. You can literally put anything, any leftover, anything in the fridge into an egg, and it's delicious. So I'm going to say a time constraint meal is going to be eggs always.
Okay, I'm going to pick on that. Examples of different ways to make eggs.
I mean, I'm normally doing scrambled eggs and just throwing stuff in it, like whatever's in my fridge. My kids they call them pokey eggs, which would be like a fried egg, like an over easy egg, because they get to poke the yolk. So I'll do that a lot of times too, because it's super easy. Literally throw a couple eggs in the pan, put the lid on, walk away. I can go, do whatever else I'm doing, make a coffee and come back and they're ready to go. You don't have to stir them. It's the best. I do have really good nonstick pans, so they don't stick or anything, and some butter in the bottom. Other than that, that's I started throwing some Muskoka Mornings egg white protein powder in them when I wanted to up my protein, which is even better. You just mix it in some water to throw it in with the scramble and double the protein.
I've never tried that, so now I'm going to have to do that.
It's definitely a bit of it takes a learning curve to get the mix right, but it's
right.
You can even taste it. It's great.
Okay, I will try it. Shalini's fried boiled eggs are so good.
Yes.
I have seen those.
I remember Miles. I think you remember Miles Telecron. He did that first years ago, and I started doing it.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Little hot sauce, fry them in some butter.
Yes.
I'll do that for lunch tomorrow.
What is your motivation now? This is a good one. Versus 3 years ago.
Same as it was before. I like playing with my kids. I want to be around. That one hasn't changed. That something just went on here on my page. Yeah, I love being able to like get up and run around, and you've seen my kids that are pretty hyperactive at the best of times, and at least when they're not sort of vegging out, and I love being able to do that. Right? I definitely couldn't do that 5 years ago.
No, I love when you just like your first sentence, like this 3 years ago, you wrote this. I want to be around for a long time to see my kids grow old. I love that.
100%. That hasn't changed.
That for sure is mine now, rather than just being even losing weight. I just want to be really, really strong.
Yeah. And now I want to be jacked. Yeah, like now I want to get like muscular. I want to be here for my kids, but also be like.
Yeah. What would you say? Last question. What would you say to yourself if you're in a funk?
It's a good question. I usually just berate myself until I get out of it. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it goes back. It definitely happens sometimes where you're just like, this is enough. I don't want to do this anymore. But you really, and I sort of like, I think I sort of in my post today, you got to look back to where you started, and like a funk now is significantly different than a funk 5 years ago, right? Like there's a difference between, sitting on the couch and not being able to move and yeah, keep digging. Greg just said keep digging. He's absolutely right. Like there is no way that I'm going back to where I was, and whether that's the weight, the energy, the mentality, the sort of not getting things done, the inconsistencies. I'm not going back there. And when I really get sort of like, why am I still doing this, and like what is going on here, and I don't want to do this anymore, which happens to everybody. I'm doing, but if we don't keep doing it, we're going back there. And I'm not going back there. Wasn't a good place.
I think that's the perfect spot to end the live. So
Oh,
with
Diet
that,
Coke.
I just ended the Instagram, so it saves. But I want to say thank you.
Oh,
You're amazing.
oh, you there?
Oh, why? Sorry, I can't hear you now. I realized I ended the live.
Same, that's what I,
Yeah. Okay. Now
That's
we're
what I
good.
thought.
Now we're actually good because that was the perfect time to end the live. But for
I think
Instagram,
we're still live here, right?
yeah, we're still live here. But what I wanted to say was thank you. Like,
You're
just
welcome.
thank you, because it's hard, Mark. It's hard to like stay motivated and like every day wake up, and like what Karen was saying, right? Sometimes things don't work. And what Greg was saying, he's like, I don't want to go back to running. I've tried.
Yep.
It's hard. Like, I don't want to shy away from that. It is hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it is. It can be hard to keep going, especially again, like Karen said, if you're stuck in a plateau and just sort of sitting there and trying everything you can and nothing's moving, like you want to be like screw it. But yeah, you just got to keep going. That's eventually it breaks out.
Yeah. And also, what other choice do we have?
Right. It's that or go back. And I'm not
Right.
going back to, I lost a friend this week. Did I tell you that? One of my old coworkers
No.
passed away on Monday
Oh
last
my
week.
gosh.
Last week
I'm
was
so
on
sorry.
Friday. He was a big dude for a lot of his life, and we sort of bonded over. He lost a lot of weight, and when I changed jobs, we hadn't seen each other in over a year in the pandemic, and he had put on the weight again, quite a bit of it actually, and he died of a heart attack last Monday. And he was one of those guys where the church was standing room only. He was like the nicest guy. Really sort of brought everybody together always. And, he had 2 teenage daughters, and it's pretty terrible. But, I sat in the church again, thinking like, I can't go back like that. He wasn't much older than we are. Not happening. Right.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So that's, that was a very motivating, it was a very good funeral service, as good as a funeral service can be. It was actually really, everybody spoke really well, but not going back there. I'm not having a heart attack on a Monday morning.
Yeah. On that note,
if I can help it. Yeah, that's a morbid note to end it all. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's real life. I mean, my dad. I mean, I've discussed it before. But my dad had a heart attack at 49, and now I'm
Right.
now I'm in the decade, right?
Ruben was 49.
Yeah. So
Same age.
it's real, and
And you just got here. I got 3 years ago already in this decade. And,
I just entered the best decade of my life, Mark.
Okay. No, I'm kidding. It is. It has.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
That's my mentality. Karen says she's really sorry for your loss, and
Karen,
she's
right.
also
Concentrating. 60 pounds
that.
is massive. That's huge. That's more than most people. That's the 99th percentile of people who lose weight, right?
Yeah.
Even if you just lose 60 and stay there, that's better than being 60 pounds heavier. That's.
Can I just actually also end with that, Mark? It's the staying. Like, I now actually, the person who is my diabetes caregiver, she actually told me, the diabetes educator, she told me, she said, I'm really like proud of you for maintaining your weight.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, and I think, I don't know if we were there yet in the last, maybe it was on a podcast somewhere. Maintenance is harder than weight loss for me.
Yeah.
Or at least it has been, especially the switch to getting into it was staying the same weight is harder than just losing it. Yeah. And it seems counterintuitive, but it's a struggle.
And it's the whole, like I told you, honestly, between the 190 and 200, but like I actually successfully stopped the increase. Like I was basically like this, and I was like, cool, I'm going to stop it. And everything I'm doing has stopped.
I've been there too. Like it's, you sort of, you can look down one day at the scale or just how your clothes are fitting, and you're like, this has gone far enough, right? Like we need to stop this. That's a struggle. That's a skill in itself.
Well, thank you for coming on this live. Thanks for motivating us. I'm going to be sending you Kaizen.
All right.
Pecan sticky bun.
Ooh,
I love this flavor. The new wraps.
All right.
As my thank you. And a milk and cookies keto bread.
I'm excited to try the milk and cookies. I have been keeping a box of the Sunday's cookies unopened so you can try them fresh. So I'm going to, when we see each other, I'm going to open it. I have one, like literally my last box. and I'll bring it so that I'm sending a Rush some too, which is exciting. I want him to try them.
Can you tell everybody about Sunday? Because you just need to.
Sundays are I can't
Sundays.
get them. Sundays are a low carb, not allowed to call them an Oreo cookie, which a friend of mine from kindergarten, who has been in and out of keto but has been in the health space for a lot of years, decided he wanted to develop an Oreo replica.
Yeah.
And he took us a little over 2 years. He sort of bounced ideas off me. We talked macros, we talked everything. Neha got to try one of the samples before it went out, and they were okay.
But
they're now delicious. They literally taste like Oreos. They are 1 net carb for 3 cookies, I think. High protein, low calorie, and they are ridiculous. So check out Eat Sundays if you want to go look them up online. It is literally, again, my friend Jody since like kindergarten. He's developed this product. It's incredible. So I'm literally saving it, sitting right here. I'm saving this box for you to try a fresh one.
And I love following him on LinkedIn too. He's just
he's grown into that role of that
he's
sort
killing
of
it.
He's doing well.
I love my LinkedIn. So
I know you do. I only use it mostly when I get alerts that you posted something or he posted something. or some vendors trying to sell me something, and they mess up. I mostly ignore those.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for this special Valentine's Day Live. And thank you everyone for being with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks everyone.